Well, hello there, and thanks for joining me for a crafting session. This week in our weekly classes, it is the craft challenge, which means that students make whatever they want and they're given certain materials, and we go through lots of different construction techniques. If you're watching this on our private class page, you'll see another video below this one with lots of different construction and how to put things together skills video. I'm going to show you, if you wanted to make a bangle, I'm going to show you how to do that. So for this, I'm using a cardboard roll. This is from a roll of tape, so this fits over my arm. You could use one from any roll of tape, really. This would be a thinner one. Obviously, this still has tape on it. Just make sure it fits over your hand or the hand of the person that it's going to go on with a little bit of room and space. Also going to need a scissors, a peg, and some wool. If you have a glue gun, you could use a glue gun to secure this. I'm going to show you how to do it without a glue gun. Other options are as well having little bits of felt, because you could also maybe put a shamrock onto your bangle too. So I'm going to start. I want to kind of have Irish colours, so I'm going to do the flag. I've got some green tweed here. This is offcuts from a blanket from a recycling centre I used to have a membership to. And I've got some wool from a knitting project. So when I'm working with a thin wool like this, what I do is I double it up so that when I wrap around, I'm getting a bit more thickness each time. Otherwise, it can take a long time to do, depending on the thickness of your wool. Now, it's a bit knotty there, so I'm going to try and find a place where it's not knotted up, if I can. Normally I'd start with a bit longer wool, but this will do fine to get us started. So I get the wool, the length, join up the ends, and I find the looped end like this, okay? So then put the looped end around my bangle, and then this end with the tails, put it through the loop and tie it on. And there you have it attached. So there's no need for any knots at all. And then I start winding it around the bangle. I keep it as close together as possible so that it all stays in place. Now, obviously you'd want to start with a longer piece so that when you come to this, you've gotten a bit further in your project. So I'm just going to try and find the next long piece here, and I'm going to show you how to joint two pieces together, and then I'm going to show you how to joint two different colors together. But this is going to be a good length here, I think. Okay, so there we go. There's one end. Now I need to find the other end, which I think is there. So that's very long, but I have my two tails and my hoop. So I'm going to start here with this because I want to join these two together, and hopefully it's going to join in the inside in there. So I put all the tails together, right? And then I do a knot like that, all together. So just try and tie it down. And then what I do is I try and just pull it as tightly as possible without breaking the wool, because you want to make that knot really quite small if you can. Then those ends I'm going to chop off. So if you have a material scissors, do that with the material scissors. So then we're just going to wind that around. Oops. And you're going to try and hide that knot inside. So that knot is inside here. I'm just going to pull this through. This is a bit long what I have there, but so here, so you can see the knot on the inside there. And when I pull the next piece through, I'm going to try and just go over it with my wool, just to hide the knot under the next layer. So go over that knot with my wool. So that's why you want to try and make the knot as small as possible. And really you want to try and have as few joints as possible. So the thicker, the more pieces of wool that you can put together for one wrap, the better. Like I'll show you for an example. If you had 2, even 4 strands with this wool, that would be brilliant. So now I am going to wrap this around until there is no more white wool left, or until I've gotten as much as I want, because I want it to be 1/3 of the white wool, 1/3 of kind of yellowy, orange, golden wools, and then 1/3 green. But it's also going to depend on how much of each wool I have as well. Work with what you got. That's what I always recommend. So I've got quite a bit of this white. So I'm actually going to go back. I want to make this a little bit thicker because it's a bit thin. So I'm just going to go, because I've got this wool here, I'm just going to go back a little bit, make a part of it thicker. I'm just going back this direction, just a little bit. I'm going to see anywhere that there might be gaps. You need to really, to make a joint, you want to try and get to one end or the other. So you can see here, I'm sort of not doing every part. See this little gap here? You can see that on the screen, but I'm just going to try and get in there. There's a little gap there, just so it's nice and solid. Brings me back now, and we have a loop here, and we're going to use that loop to our advantage. So I've got some lovely plaid here. I think that's going to look gorgeous, but I'm going to save that to last, and I'm going to have some yellow. I think I've got a little bit of orange here as well to see what we can make with it. So I'm going to find a loop here. So I'm going to make an attachment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this loop through here. Okay. Find my end. All right. So the loop of the new thread through the loop of the old thread, then get your tails, put your tail. So have it like that. Okay. So you got old loop, new loop, get your tail, put it through that loop there, and then pull it, oops, pull it tight, and you have a connection. And it's a nice seamless connection, which makes it easy. So it'll look really nice if you see the joint in your artwork. Remember, pause this video at any stage and work away on your own, and then start again. Here, and I'm actually gonna just tie a knot to make a loop there and chop that off. So I have a loop to work with. And then for this is a little bit different because it's flat. Now I've got these little twines here, so I'm going to try and make that work. Make a little loop again. Make sure it's, oh, that came undone. There's another loop. So remember, old loop, new loop, then find the tail, put the tail through, okay, and then pull it. Just pull gently here to create a little connection, okay. And very handily, that's coming on the inside. So remember, when I pull it through, I want to hide that little joint there. So I'm going to, so you could decide here, do you want the ruffle showing or the smooth part showing? So I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you both. So I'm going to do the ruffles. I'm hiding underneath there. So you could, if you put it like that, then the ruffles are going to show each time. And you can decide how much or how little you want to, oops. You can decide how much or how little you want to see of the colors. So if you wanted it to be plain, you could just twist it on the inside there, and then you would see the plain part like that. So I'm going to have the ruffles, and then I'm going to twist it around. I'm going to get that plain. So I'm getting a bit more of the plain. So it's just up to you, and obviously the bigger wool you use, obviously the quicker you're going to be able to cover your piece. And every time I'm pulling it really tight, so I have a really nice tight finish. So there we go. So I really like that. I'm going to do one more. Now, so I'm getting towards the end here, and I want to have a really nice smooth finish. So I am going to tie a little knot here. So what I'm doing is I've been wrapping it around. So I've got this little loop loose and I've got my tail here, okay? I'm going to get my tail and put it through this loop here and pull it tight in like so. Now I want to make sure I want this to go around the other way because I want that to cover in. And tie it in. So I've got a little knot in there in the inside. I'm just pulling, and basically I'm pulling the tail to make that as snug as possible in there. Then what I do is I get a little bit of glue, okay? So I'm using PVA glue here. If you had a glue gun, obviously that would be brilliant. But you're going to put a bit of glue, if you can see there, in underneath all that wool. Get it in there on one side. And then I'm going to just chop this tail as close to that knot as possible. And I'll put a little bit of glue in the other side. Like that. So if you have material glue or something, brilliant. And then I'm going to just flatten that down. What I normally do is I get a little cloth. So I have an old cloth here. You need something that is not going to stick to the material. So if you had some baking paper, that would be ideal. So there it is there. And you just want to, if you have baking paper, put the baking paper over it and then just press it down with the peg. So I'm just going to use the peg there on both sides, just to hold this while it dries. Okay, so when it's dry, you're going to have an awesome woolen bangle. Now, so I have left this to dry for a little bit and I can now take the pegs off and it's all dry inside. So my bangle is ready to be worn. So these can actually look really stylish, and a couple of tips is to make sure that there is no gaps so that you can't see the cardboard beneath, and to use really nice wool, make it really nice and thick so it has that kind of a substantial squishy feel to it, so it feels nice on your arm. And of course, remember to make sure that you've used a piece of cardboard roll big enough for the hand. So maybe a nice gift for Mother's Day or to make with the kids for the St. Patrick's Day parade. Hope you've enjoyed that project and I will see you again next time.